In order to maintain this 106-acre ranch with 3 homes and interconnected roads and infrastructure, I needed some help. As a sole operator, I can't do everything, so I needed the might of the hydraulics of heavy equipment. So the first machine I bought was this Caterpillar backhoe. Amazing, versatile, love it. I use it almost every day, but it does have its blind spots. So I decided to add to my collection with this Kubota compact track loader. Another incredible machine. But what if you were only going to buy one? Which would you get? So having had both of these machines, I'm going to share today with you which I think is the best if you're only going to have one, and also some of the pros and cons of each machine so that you can make a decision if you're trying to decide, do you want a backhoe or do you want a skid steer? Let's get into it. When we first started developing this land, our construction budget was already blown completely out of control, and I knew I could only afford one machine. What I really wanted was a mini excavator and a compact track loader because the capabilities of those two machines together are almost infinite. But since I couldn't do both machines at the same time, I thought, what single machine would give me most of the capabilities combined into one platform? And that's the backhoe. At that time, the tasks that I needed to get done were snow removal, ditch and footing digging, and material handling. So moving pallets around with the forks that I put on the front bucket, as well as moving the dumpsters down to the road where the truck can reach them. That's a lot of capability for one machine, and I'm very, very pleased with everything I've been able to do with the backhoe for the first several years we were on the property. It really is the Swiss Army knife of machines. It does a lot and it does them reasonably well. After the phase 1 construction was complete and things stabilized, I found myself in a position to refine my capabilities. That's when I decided to invest in this compact track loader. The primary driver was efficiency and versatility through the use of implements. Implements that I just can't use on the backhoe. The capabilities this machine gives me is the ability to use a snowblower, to be able to direct snow completely off the roadway, not pushing heavy snow, which is a big problem with the backhoe. It'll push a lot of snow, but the problem is I'm not in a parking lot. I'm going down narrow roads. I need to push all that snow off to the side, usually gathering a lot of gravel in the process, and you can't steer once it gets heavy. So that's really not the right machine for long, steep, narrow mountain roads. With this one, with a snowblower, I can direct it off the road, and if I come up to a driveway or something I don't want to cover with snow, I can just direct it over to the other side. Another really serious advantage to this is my ability to mow. We have noxious weeds. We have really just a lot of weed activity during the summer. It grows over the roads, and we need to be able to constantly mow that to keep it groomed and beautiful looking, because this is a resort that we're running on the ranch. We have rental homes and we have a lot of tourism, a lot of people coming in to stay on our short-term rentals. So we need to keep the roads looking really groomed and beautiful. Another capability that this gives me is the ability to see what I'm doing as far as grading roads. I can back blade, so I can drop that blade down, which is very, very close. So the geometry of this machine allows me to get a much more groomed surface, a much nicer groomed surface than I can with the backhoe. Even though the backhoe blade does go into float, it's way out in front of me, and it's about 6 feet. The front of the blade is about 6 feet in front of the front tires, and you're just not going to get as refined of a grading capability. Also, a hurley rake is something that I really want to get for this machine. If you're not familiar with that, it kind of churns up a gravel road, brings the gravel back up to the surface when it gets smashed down in wet weather and high traffic. The gravel gets smashed down into the surface of the road base, and you need to kind of revive that. Otherwise, you need to keep adding aggregate to the top. Now, I do have a little grooming machine I use with my ATV, which is really nice for keeping, maintenance throughout the year. But about once a year, I want to get the hurley rake to be able to, what I call, just refine and revive the road surface. And we have about 1.5 miles of roads here on this ranch, roads and driveways going to all our properties. So this is a huge, huge development for me because I'm the sole guy that's taking care of all those roads. Bananas and oranges in the same barn here. The reason why I didn't buy a Caterpillar compact track loader is just everything you buy from Caterpillar costs a small fortune. They're just really, really expensive parts. Little brackets and bolts are, 10, 20, 30 bucks for a bolt. It's kind of crazy. Now I know that all heavy equipment is expensive to maintain, but really only had a couple of choices because in this area, you don't have that many dealerships. So you want to buy a piece of equipment that has a dealer close by so that you can get it serviced. It's really, really easy to get this machine serviced. And same with Cat. It's just at a much lower cost. So when comparing capabilities, it was clear that for the money, the Kubota gives me a lot more capabilities. And that's really the reason why I made that decision. If you're a contractor or someone that wants to move the machine from job site to job site, weight is a big deal. This is a huge machine. It's 24,000 pounds as you see it sitting here right now, with the bucket, the counterweight, fully enclosed cab, heating and air conditioning, the extendable dipper on the back. All of that adds weight. You can get them lighter than that, but this one happens to be about 24,000 pounds. This is half the weight. It's 11,500 pounds. It's small, compact. You can put it on a trailer and tow it around with a 3/4 ton truck. Now we're on the serious business end of the backhoe. This is such, look at this thing. We've got this bucket with these teeth on here. These are interchangeable teeth. It's got the thumb on here, which is great for picking up logs and boulders and things that are a little bit fussy when you're trying to move them. You just grab them and it's incredibly strong. I mean, I've picked up these huge, just giant boulders like this, and as long as it's not completely round, if there's any edge on it at all, it will grab them and you can move those around. One of the things that's different about this compared to the Mini X I mentioned earlier is that in order to extend this out and to pick anything up or dig, you need to put these stabilizers down. And because it is on tires, it's gonna be, you just cannot lift anything or extend this bucket out without these stabilizers down. What that means is that you've only got 180 degrees, or maybe a little bit less than that, of movement. So you can't just pick something up like on an excavator and then start driving or move it, transport it over to another pile. You also can't go around 360 degrees like you can with an excavator. So there are some limitations, and it's a little clunky when you're trying to move a lot of materials from one place to another due to that limitation of not being mobile because of your stabilizers. Other than that, though, this is, like I said, this machine is so capable of doing so many different things that you have to put up with some of those little limitations. We also have this extendable dipper arm, which allows me to go down as deep as 20 feet. So you can see that. I can extend that so I can get much further reach. This is the lower piece that lifts up. And from there, this whole thing lifts out of the way. So now I can completely exit. If I wanted to, I could exit from there. But the main thing, that's probably not safe to do, but I do it all the time. The main thing is that I'm right here with no dirty glass or any obstructions whatsoever. I can also communicate with whoever's outside. So I can be talking to them and they can see maybe down deeper into the hole than I can. And because this glass splits, if I want to, I can leave that bottom one down and just raise the top one up. On a really cold day, especially if there's some wind, it does keep some of the air from coming in and circulating around. This particular machine, I really did like the fact that this raises and lowers with this door, which makes it easy to operate with the door open. So if you're working with someone who's standing right outside here and you're raising and lowering the bucket, if you've got a typical door like a cat or a bobcat, you can't work with it open because the bucket will hit it and break your door. This comes in glass or polycarbonate. So if you're doing wood chipping or you're doing mulching or mowing, there's a chance that you can get a rock flying back. So you would always want to operate it with this closed, and then with polycarbonate it would just bounce off because polycarbonate doesn't break. So it is a tight little machine, but I like it. It's kind of like a go-kart. It doesn't go that fast, although it does have buttons to control the RPMs, which you can get going pretty quickly. You can see my tracks turning out here. It is very, very different operating this, much rougher ride with the tracks than on the tires in the backhoe. But this is kind of a new machine for me, but I really like it. The main reason why I really like it is because I have control and view of the bucket. So the bucket is right there, so I can see in intimate detail exactly what I'm doing. And to have that much power right in front of you, it's a little bit like Alien when Sigourney Weaver's in that machine, very much like this, and she's got the arms and she's fighting the alien. It kind of feels like that. The implements are controlled through this little switch here. You just line it up. Come straight in. Then with my other stick here, I'm going to lift it up. Okay. That lifts the bucket up off the ground, and then I kind of twist it to let the bottom seat back in. This is a 2024 model SVL 97-2. It's the second most expensive one they make. It's $93,000. Plus you've got your bucket, your forks, plus the snowblower and the skid cutter, some discounts, and it all comes up to about $117,668. This is a 2019 model I bought in 2021, so it was barely used at the time. They put a couple brand new front tires on it for me at the time. This one's fully enclosed heating and air conditioning. It's got the extendable dipper arm and pretty much every other accessory you can get on it. It comes in at $99,000 used with 1,000 hours on it. I added a 10-foot snow bucket on there plus a thumb, which was $6,000. All of that comes in at about $119,000. So these two machines are almost priced the same, although one was used and one was new. Just for an apples to apples new machine to new machine comparison, I checked the price on the 430F2 backhoes, and they run anywhere from 120 to 150 new. Plus you add all the accessories on there, you could be up well over 150,000 for that one. So if you're trying to decide between these machines new, you're going to pay more for the backhoe than the compact track loader. I think if you're making the choices in the way that I did, if you've got a homestead or a ranch, it makes a lot of sense to get a backhoe if that's the only machine you're going to buy, if you're going to be digging. If you're not digging and you want all the different implements, mowing, a big auger, snow blowing, bucket, forks, this is your machine. So it's a very individual choice, but I'm really happy with the first 5 years on the ranch with this machine. I got almost everything I needed to do. Still able to put the removable forks on the front, snow removal, more stable snow removal with chains, moving dirt, pea gravel, road base, back blading the roads, clearing the bar ditches with the backhoe, digging holes for footings for the solar array and for all the other little things we did, like the main gate, dug the footings for that. So if you're doing those types of jobs, you can't do that with this one. I can do more videos on this. I could do one just solely on the Kubota that might be a little bit more in depth if you want to see that. Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your feedback. I'd also love to hear which is your choice. Nice hanging out with you. And don't forget to subscribe, like the video, share it with your friends, and hit the notification bell. And I'll see you on the next one.